What's up, everybody? Saturday morning Fantasy Firebox. Tony Jigsaw Cutillo joined by John Pittsburgh Coker. This is Win Daily Sports Fantasy Firebox. Follow us at windailysports.com. Subscribe on the YouTube channel. Check out the bottom. You can get your gold membership today with a first free month, including the Discord chat, projection models, much more. WDS is the code. And John, listen, it rained like hell last night. I was getting through the alternative edge on the Sharp app and felt like my windows were going to blow in. But there's a lot of interesting talk. This isn't by Magedding this week. Last week, really from people. I'm sure it killed you as well. But we're past that now. And now we're in week 8. And now we're going to talk about some DFS values. We're going to talk about guys who maybe have overperformed, have underperformed, guys you should look at going into week 8. But John, how'd you make out last week with all those buys?
It was either completely up or completely down. There was no middle of the pack. My one league, my entire bench was injured or on a bye. I had no lineup choices. It was either free agent wire into your lineup, or you go with what you got. So that was a loss. But, I had some pickups that did me well. Russell Gage paired with Matt Ryan did me well. Picked them both up because I had, bye week fillers. But, I do have a question for you. Here, I'm in a dilemma.
Oh,
and it's not very often that I am in a dilemma that I don't know what to do.
Yeah, don't usually ask. I'm usually asking you. You're asking me. This is going to be interesting.
I have Christian McCaffrey, David Montgomery, Kareem Hunt, Antonio Gibson. So you look at that stable of running backs. I was set, but it's come to that. What do I do with all of these injured guys? I really don't. It's a 10-team league, so I could, in theory, cut Hunt. What are your thoughts on, is McCaffrey going to return and stay off the injured list? And 2, what do you expect out of Montgomery with the way Khalil Herbert's playing?
Well,
in terms of timeshare.
You're right. No, I completely agree. The funny thing is that when you talk about CMAC, Adam checking in. What's up, Adam? How you doing, buddy? The one big thing about CMAC is, we talked about this preseason. I didn't have him number 1 for a reason, only because I didn't feel like I thought he was going to regress a little bit when it comes to time, because I seen how injured he got last year. And I felt like this year could be another year where he gets nicked up. So, cutting bait with him, I don't think that's possible. I still think he's going to be the most productive out of those 4. But I think the Montgomery one is interesting, because when he got hurt, I first said that I think you should just cut him. And everybody says, I said, look, if you don't have an IR spot in your league, this is going to be an 8-week injury. His projected timetable is going to be week 11, if best. So add another 2 weeks because it's a knee. So now you're at week 13. There's 13 weeks in fantasy, maybe 14 now, because you have the extra week. And now that you see what Khalil Herbert's doing, who just honestly came out of nowhere, right? I couldn't have predicted that. Maybe you have. I know some guys like seeing a job from Windale. He's a great college guy. Guys like Mark Drumheller, they already knew these guys. Me, not so much. I don't watch college football. So when this kid came in, I was like, wow, he's shifty. He's got explosiveness, and they love to run the ball in Chicago. So if I'm a Montgomery owner, I'm very concerned, because I think this is 100% going to be a timeshare going forward, especially, John, that Tariq Cohen was getting clocked before he got hurt. And they've been waiting for that next Tariq Cohen to be able to spell David Montgomery. And now, he's going to come back. They're going to baby him a little bit. He's probably not going to be 100%. So out of those options, it sounds crazy, but Antonio Gibson is probably your best bang for the buck.
Well, I don't have. That's what I mean. Like, I'm not cutting Montgomery. I mean, you may say it's okay. That's not okay in my book. All right, I could see cutting Kareem Hunt with similar time frame, him coming back at week 13. But the thing, at least with Hunt, is he's not their number 1 back. You know what I mean? Where with Montgomery, at least was before he left. Yeah, I don't know. Montgomery doesn't have value, and you're going to get, is it time to shop McCaffrey and try to get some type of value. But I don't want to get caught up on my team. I want to dig into the rest of the league because I've been thinking about this for 3 weeks now, just racking my brains. I think I was 4-0 and now I'm 0-3. So not going well, but let's dig into this week. We're changing the tides.
They were changing. It's like, listen, the injury thing is huge. So many people are in the same predicament, right? So many people are in the same predicament. I get it. I do. I absolutely get it. So, but yeah, listen, this week, I got a couple questions for you this week because what I looked at is certain guys who really shot up the charts this week. Really shot up the charts. And I'm talking about one specifically I asked you about. And I know we've talked, and again, we're going to go all over the map here on the show. Get your questions in. We'll answer them as well. Stephon Diggs. And the reason why I'm asking you about Stephon Diggs, he's seen a plus 800 jump in DraftKings from last week to this week. And what I ask is, what did he do to garner that tremendous jump? I know I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve to be high priced, but what makes him go from 7,300 to 8,100 1 week? Listen, he had 11 targets for 89 yards, but his average was 9.9. He had 11 targets in week 4. He had 10 targets in week 3. This is nothing new for Stephon Diggs. Is it because they're playing Miami? I'm not sure. I still think, John, that this goes without saying. Emmanuel Sanders has really dug in to the Stephon Diggs timeshare this year. And everybody that drafted him as a number 1 wide receiver is going to be greatly disappointed. I don't mean wide receiver 1. I'm talking about top 3 wide receiver in their drafts. I think they're kind of beating themselves up over it because he's not going to finish top 3. Right? We all talked about that. But why do you think this jump is so crazy at plus 800?
I mean, some of it's Miami, which I'm still not. I don't know. They might be able to run the ball. I don't know how much they're going to be airing it out. It's a juicy matchup, but I mean that defense is playing good. I don't even know how much offense Miami's going to be able to muster. As for that huge jump, some of it play in Miami. I think some of it. Well, I'll tell you, I've been trying to buy Diggs low in my regular leagues. All right. Do I think he's going to be a top 3 guy? No, but I think that whole offense is really about Josh Allen's progression and now feeling more comfortable. And, he's still giving Diggs the targets, but he trusts his other guys and he trusts himself and he trusts the scheme and the offense is just clicking. But I mean, I would buy low on Diggs. 800 jump is way too much, from 1 week to the next when, not much has changed.
That's a huge jump. It really is. Now, again, I know he's going to get targets. We already know that. But what concerns me is he's very inconsistent as far as what he's doing with those targets. Kind of like what Juju Smith-Schuster was last year. He would get you that game of 11 catches, but it was like 88 yards. Like it was nothing extraordinary, right? And he's also going to give you the games where he goes 8 for $150 and scores touchdowns. I get it. He's just very inconsistent this year. So let me switch the map a little bit, and I want to talk about a specific quarterback. Adam, we'll get your question in a second. I want to talk about Carson Wentz. And I want to talk about Carson Wentz because I'm enamored with Carson Wentz right now. I am, because I was never fully out on Carson Wentz as the quarterback. I was fully out on Carson Wentz as the quarterback in Philadelphia because I knew he did everything he could, and he was never going to get over that barrier to be the guy that we once thought that he could be. And right now he goes to the quarterback whisperer with Frank Reich. We all knew this was going to happen. Playing very well, consistent. And the question I have you for John is he's been, over the last 4 weeks, he's been entirely consistent, at least 2 touchdowns per week. His QBR is over 100 every single week. And this week he goes up against Tennessee, who does not have a very good defense. We've seen Tennessee get exploited every week this year. So for my $5,700, number 1, I think is a tremendous value at the quarterback position when we talk about Carson Wentz. And number 2, whether you're talking about season long, whether you're talking about DFS streaming, I feel he's a huge asset going forward in the fantasy market. What are your takes on Carson Wentz going forward, whether it be DFS or season long?
I mean, he's playing game manager in that offense. We all know that offense, that's a run first offense. I mean, Carson Wentz not throwing picks, getting the couple touchdowns every game. Yeah, well, that's the running game being so effective and having to deserve so much respect, from the defense. He's week 1, he had 251 yards passing, but outside of that, he's only had one game above 250. So you can't even count that above 252 one game. All right. He's not throwing the picks because he's really not in the position where he has to force the ball. It's the way the offense is playing. But in terms of fantasy, I want more than 250 yards and 2 touchdowns in a season-long league. If he's playing good NFL football, but that is not going to win me a fantasy championship. So if I got to plug him in for a week, if I could potentially do that. But even this week, I was looking, I have Dak potentially out, and I was looking through the waivers, and Wentz is out there. But, you're talking Wentz, Bridgewater, Roethlisberger. I mean, the real trash heap. I like Daniel Jones this week if he's out there. He wasn't in the league that I was looking for. So, I mean, I think Wentz is being a good game manager. Yeah, it's value. If he's going to throw for 250, 2 touchdowns, no picks at that price point, yeah, that's absolutely good value. So it's not a bad daily play.
Yeah, and again, a lot of this, so everybody knows, a lot of this talk that we talk about is about daily play only because that's what we play predominantly. We both have our season-long leagues, but again, when you're talking about week 8, week 9, you're getting closer to the playoff spot in season long. Not a lot of moves you're going to be able to make. Trade deadline's coming up. You kind of have what you have, and you got to push forward, right? We all know that. So that's why DFS is so relevant, because you can change it week to week based on injuries, things of that nature. Now, Adam says, who do you guys think I should start, Elijah Mitchell or Robbie Anderson for my flex player? That's an interesting question, Adam, and I'm going to get John's take on it in a second, because I'm big on Sam Darnold this week. As crazy as it sounds, okay, I am. I think he's taken 3 steps back in 3 consecutive weeks. Has not been very good. Atlanta's defense is not very good. So this to me is his last shot. This is his last opportunity. Okay, got gut punched last week. Got benched for PJ Walker, the XFL mastermind, right? We all know about that. Darnold has to get back to his game. He went away from it. He's got to get back to it. I think he gets back this week. The only thing I'll say, John, is Robbie Anderson, though, has not been a huge beneficiary out there in Carolina. So I don't know. I would lean towards more Elijah Mitchell because they're so focused on the run game in San Francisco. But what are your takes on this?
I mean, is there something about Elijah Mitchell, some news that I didn't get? I mean, last time I looked, other than the one game that he played that was sandwiched in between like injury weeks, where he didn't play, it's 17, 18, 19 carries.
Yes.
For a run first team. All right. Robbie Anderson, he was By-Mageddon, whatever you called it. He was a fill-in for me because I said, look, I don't have many other options. I'm going to take the guy that's getting 10 targets. How many games can he get like close to double-digit targets, and I could count the receptions on one hand? All right. So he's getting the opportunity, but Darnold is not playing well. Maybe he comes back. To me, it's a no-brainer. San Fran got the Bears this week, I believe. They're hurting up the middle. Khalil Mack and
that's a good point.
And Hicks may be out.
Or Khalil Mack's, that's a great point.
Even if they're not out, I'm all over Elijah Mitchell. He's already in my lineups at his price point. With what do we have it at? Where am I? Oh, I can't find him. But I don't. Oh, there we go. 5,400. I am in the flex.
That's cheap.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's
absolutely.
Cheap.
So for me, hands down, that's not even a question.
Listen, the guys played 4 games this year, and I just give everybody an idea. John's exactly right. I don't know what happened to this guy. Is there something that we don't know about? Did he bang a coach's girlfriend or something? I don't know, because his attempts go 19, 17. Okay, he had 9, then 18. 3 out of the 4 games he's played, he's been above 17 carries. Listen, guess what?
Two of his 3 full games were 100-yard and a touchdown.
Yes. And listen, John, just by looking at those carry numbers, Jonathan Taylor sometimes is barely sniffing 14. And you're talking about a guy who's getting almost 20, and everybody's like, yeah, Elijah Mitchell. I'll tell you what, man, it's crazy. It's nuts. He could be the James Robinson of this year, the guy that nobody's really talked about, but just consistently gets it done week in, week out. And like you said, it's a Kyle Shanahan style offense, man. They're going to run the rock hard, especially with the quarterback situation they have, whether it be Garoppolo, okay, who's a stiff in the pocket, or whether it be Trey Lance, who, guess what? Trey Lance, he's a rookie. So either way, you got to go in on Elijah Mitchell. So I completely agree, 100%.
And Trey Sermon, he's in the doghouse. Like you would think, like, I was holding on to him for a while. He's not even getting looks. You know what I mean? So he's not an issue. JaMychal Hasty comes off an injury. He didn't play much, and he didn't look that good either. So it's like, oh, well, this other guy's there, this other guy's there. But week after week, look, until I see a major timeshare shift, I'm riding Elijah Mitchell.
I mean, listen, this may not be a stretch, John, but I'll be honest with you. When I'm looking at, I'm going over DraftKings DFS values right here, the number that they're giving me. Okay. And I'm looking at Khalil Herbert and I'm looking at Elijah Mitchell, both at 5,400. They're 2 guys that you can get at a huge value, okay? When you're talking about Derrick Henry at 8,900, Alvin Kamara at 8,700, and Dalvin Cook at 8,000, you're talking about saving at least $3,000 on each position. That's huge. Those 2 guys could possibly top 5 running backs this week. So it's a great point. It is. I mean, it's something that you definitely have to look at. Michael checking in says, hey, guys, should I start Khalil? Here we go. Khalil Herbert or Brandon Cooks for my this is going to be a good one because Brandon Cooks, what he's done is he's been very consistent. And now Davis Mills is starting to play. Tyrod Taylor, if he comes off IR, they say will be the starter. Listen, Houston, garbage time, what have you. There's only going to be one guy catching the ball out there, and that's Brandon Cooks. So this is going to be an interesting one because I really like Khalil Herbert too. So I don't know, John, what are you thinking here?
Well, yeah, my first thing was who's at quarterback. It looks like Davis Mills is going to be at quarterback.
Davis Mills.
Yeah. I would probably go Herbert. Me too. I mean, I like Cooks, but that offense is just scary. You never know what's quite going to happen. I mean, Cooks is getting his in the passing offense, but yeah, I think Herbert's he's their workhorse. He's their guy. So yeah, I'm riding him like I would. I would put it this way, even though he was pushed into the into their starting lineup, he still took over the workload of a number 1 running back. So until Montgomery or somebody else shows up to take some carries, Herbert's a weekly starter. Same thing with Chuba Hubbard. Same thing with Chuba Hubbard. Till McCaffrey comes back, he's thrust into the role. He's basically a weekly starter.
One thing
typically you don't have any other options. You know what I mean? Like even if they're sliding into the flex.
One thing I will say is with Brandon Cooks, you have to be very weary of. Even though they've been exposed the last couple of weeks with the Rams on defense. So I have a guy named Jalen Ramsey floating around out there. And obviously he's going to be one-on-one with Brandon Cooks. So, unless it's garbage time, I'm not sure how productive Cooks will be this week. So I would 100% all in on Herbert if you're telling me it's Herbert or Cooks, just specifically for what John said when it comes to injuries. And listen, the Chicago Bears are a run-first offense every week. And I'm going to say this again. When we talk about fantasy, and John knows this because he does the same thing, it can't always be about numbers. And what I mean by that is watch the game. Watch the ability of some of these guys. And Herbert's going to jump right off the map. It's not like, this guy, look at this guy's great numbers. Sometimes look at the guy, this guy's got unbelievable numbers. You watch him, and you're like, how's he getting these numbers? He's not even that good. You know who a guy like that is? Mike Davis. You watch Mike Davis, you're like, wow, this dude's, how's he getting these numbers? You look at Herbert, you're like, wow, this dude's unbelievable. So, you got to get the eye test as well when we talk about fantasy. So yeah, 100%. So Mike says, okay, so if I saw Herbert at flex, would you replace Robert Woods with Cooks as my wide receiver too?
No.
No way. No, I would not want. Listen, Cooper Kupp this week is on DraftKings is the number one receiver. I honestly wouldn't be paying up 9,000 for Cooper Kupp. Call me crazy. I just wouldn't do it, especially when you're going against the Houston Texans. This game is going to be a blowout. It's going to be a runaway, and Robert Woods is going to be the beneficiary. Along with another guy I want to talk about is Van Jefferson. Okay, those two guys I think are going to be the beneficiary of this game. So I would not bench Robert Woods for Brandon Cooks. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I wouldn't do it either. I would always rather take the receiver on a high-powered offense with a good team when it's a push. I mean, I think they're both good receivers. I mean, Stafford was handed the keys to a Ferrari in that offense. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
With
man.
those weapons compared to what he had in Detroit, the load he had to carry. I mean, he's just having a good time. Van Jefferson catching balls. I think the number 3. You know what I mean? You got Higbee out there, not doing a whole heck of a lot, but he got weapons to choose from. So that's why Kupp's his guy. He's spreading the ball around, but I'll still take a lot of times the other test that I'll do in terms of starting lineups is, I'm between if I bench my stud who has a bad matchup and I put in another guy, and my stud blows up and I put him on the bench because I'm trying to get too cute, I will be so angry for so long. So I kind of just ride with my starters unless there's something obvious to swap it out. Because oftentimes you start playing these matchup things and trying to think too much, and it's just, look, these are my top guys and do it. I mean, Cooks and Woods are very close, but I would stick with Woods in the better offense.
No, I completely agree, 100%. I'm all in on Woods. So let's talk about. And again, Mike, any more questions? Bring them in, man. Any questions? Be happy to answer them. We love talking back and forth. Let's get into some values this week, and from a DFS standpoint. Because you mentioned, because one of my guys that I'm looking at, listen, right off the map, I look at the games, right? What games stand out to you? And for me, Tennessee, Indianapolis stands out to me. Cincinnati, New York stands out to me. Okay, as far as some really good points scored. Carolina, Atlanta stands out to me, honestly. Jacksonville, Seattle. I think Jacksonville is going to have some sneaky good value. And Dallas, Minnesota, that Sunday night game, I think it's going to be fireworks, man. I think that's going to be like a 38-31 game. A lot of potential there. So let's go right to that game for one guy I'm looking at. And again, value guys. John, we talk about this all the time. These aren't guys that you're going to throw at 8,000, 9,000. You get your core just like we've done in baseball, just like we've done in basketball, and then you kind of fill in the blanks, right? One of those guys I want to talk about is KJ Osborne, who's kind of fell off the map a little bit. He was one of those guys that everybody was all in love with, right, after week 2. And then he kind of, the next few weeks, he really didn't do anything that was spectacular. But then last week, he comes back. 7 targets, 6 catches, 78 yards. He comes back on board a little bit. Again, because it's a high-scoring game, 34-28. I expect the same kind of outcome in this Minnesota-Dallas game. So for me, $3,800 when you look at the wide receivers, I think it's a great fill-in value play. I think KJ Osborne gets you easily double-digit points this week for $3,800. When we're talking about building that core foundation, you need those little pieces here and there, so that's what we're here to give you. So, John, KJ Osborne is one of my guys. What do you think about him, and what's one of your value guys this week?
Yeah, I mean, KJ, I like the value, and Cousins will throw to him. It seems like Cousins either goes after Conklin or KJ Osborne.
Yes.
And remember when KJ Osborne, I think we might have did a show one of those weeks, and I said the reason why he was getting work was because Irv Smith was out.
Yes,
and Irv Smith was their third target. You know what I mean? So that's why KJ Osborne. But now Cousins is starting to get a feel for Conklin. So, I mean, I think there's definitely value there. I don't know if I have a pure value guy. If you want to go real cheap, Nico Collins at like was he 3,200, I think.
Yeah, Nico. I like Nico.
Yeah, we talked about the Houston offense and Davis Mills, and it's going to be a tough game. But who knows? He's playing snaps for him. He had five and six targets, I think, the past 2 weeks. So for 3,200, you could do worse.
I agree. I liked Nico was one of those preseason guys that I liked. And I thought, he had the opportunity to be really good. Adam second in says, is Claypool active this week? So what I will tell you is he did practice in full on Thursday. But one thing to be careful with Adam is the hamstring injuries. You never know. They do another walkthrough today, right? So you're really going to, even though he practiced in full and he's in that direction of playing, really check the wires today to find out how he looked, especially pregame. Them soft tissue injuries, he could feel great for 2 days, wake up Sunday morning, go out for pregame, and tweak it a little bit, and they don't play because they have the luxury of other guys to be able to step in. So just be careful. As of now, looks like he will be active. So we shall see. Now, another guy, John, you mentioned Nico Collins. I'm going to listen, and my man Jason from Wendell knows I love this guy. I'm gonna talk Freddie Swain. Okay. I said this when Geno Smith took over for Russell Wilson. It was like we talked about this, John. Who's gonna be the beneficiary and who's gonna regress? Is it gonna be Lockett or is it gonna be DJ Metcalf? DK Metcalf. Who's gonna be that guy? Well, I specifically said I felt it was gonna be Freddie Swain. And I'll tell you why. It's a really weird dynamic. And again, this is nothing but jigsaw logic here, okay? And John's going to laugh at that. There's nothing but jigsaw logic. And what it is you take that odd piece in an offense with the guy who hasn't played quarterback starting for freaking 8 years, okay? So you take that and you say, who's going to be that flower? And I'm doing this, purposely for Nick Sirianni. But who's going to be that guy that's going to bloom? Who's going to be the guy you least expect? It's going to be Freddie Swain. So last week, what does he do? 6 targets. Okay, 4 catches for 39 yards. Nothing crazy. But again, 6 targets, which is why I'm telling you for 3,200 against Jacksonville. Okay, both of these teams are not very good. Jacksonville is actually playing very well right now. Okay, but they still have a lot to learn. So there's going to be a lot of points scored in this game, in my opinion. Okay, I'm not talking 40. But I'm talking, look, you could be like 27, 20 game, and that's going to bode well for a guy like Freddie Swain and Seattle because I really think by accident, Geno Smith is going to find him for at least one deep shot today. I really feel, or on Sunday, I really feel that way. So for me, 3,200, again, these are flyer guys, but that's the jigsaw logic of today. I like Freddie Swain. Who you got, John?
Yeah.
Jigsaw logic, baby.
Yeah, no, I do believe more often than not, don't know what the causal is, but oftentimes when you have a second string quarterback come in, their go-to guy is the third string wide receiver. All right. I don't know if it's because of something with practice reps or what have you, but I see that often. Just over the years, seeing that second stringer, I don't know. One thing, just to go back to the whole Claypool thing, if Claypool doesn't play for whatever reason, I love a daily play of Ray McLeod because he's going to step right into the number 2, him or James Washington. They're still going to have to throw the ball. So outside of Deontay Johnson,
I like that. We're gonna have to mark that down. I like that. When John comes out with these plays, I'll tell you who was the guy, John. But you mentioned somebody a couple weeks ago saying and dude went off. I forget who it was, to be honest with you.
I probably blew it with my studs that I picked for daily. That's been the story of this year. I'm hitting on all my sleepers and cannot get my locks right.
Oh, the locks are tough this year, man. The locks are tough. Well, I will say, and we're not doing this today, but I will say I'm 2 for 2 at NBA DFS the last 2 nights. So I cashed both nights, which I'm getting a little antsy now that I'm getting a little streak going. So I don't know what it is because I just started doing my homework couple days ago because I'm not ready to start the DFS talk for NBA yet. But I've been kind of tinkering with certain guys, and I've been doing very well. Shout out Steph Curry. Thank you, sir. And Jimmy Butler. Appreciate it. Ray McLeod. Write that name down. I like it. Michael checking back in. So in my other league, I have Dak as my quarterback. Am I probably sitting him to play it safe? Should I pick up Daniel Jones or Kirk Cousins to play instead? Interesting. Dude, here's what I will say, and I get it. It's you see Dak coming out in a walking boot, right? With the calf injury. I mean, it's so hard. John said it. It's so hard. Like if I had Dak Prescott and he's 50%, okay, and again I know he was limited, okay, in practice on Friday. I still think he plays. I do. I don't know. But when you see statements come out, Mike McCarthy says Prescott's outlook is about, in quotations, more than just this game. So look at that quote, John. I'm probably going to say odds are he may sit. Right. So this is a good call because we talked about, that, being that game with a lot of points. And I'm basing that on him playing. So we're going to have to look at today. So let's just say today he comes out, just for Michael's question specifically. He comes out, he's sore. They're not going to play on tomorrow night. The good thing is they have a night game, so they can give him some treatment on that calf. They can do a lot of different things. And Dak's a gamer. If that, no matter what, he's a Cowboy. I get it. I'm Philly. I'm supposed to hate him. Doesn't matter. I like Dak. He's a gamer. So I think he will play if he can. So if you're sitting here to play it safe, John, pick up Daniel Jones or Kirk Cousins to play instead. This is an interesting one.
For me, this is easy. This question.
Okay.
So for me, one, I don't believe Dak's going to play. I already went for the same dilemma. Already went for ulterior options. I'm not planning on him playing. I didn't take him out of the lineup, but I got my guy ready to go in as soon as he's called out. Doing that, I purposely didn't pick up a quarterback that's going to play at 1:00. All right, because I want to see to hear. Easy answer is they're playing each other Sunday night, correct?
Yep.
You already said it's going to be a high-scoring game.
Kirk
So
Cousins.
I'm picking up Kirk Cousins. If Dak plays, if he's good enough to play, he's going to play the game. Like I'm banking on it. I don't think he's going to play, but if he's in, I play him. And if he's out, Kirk Cousins goes in. That to me is just the simplest decision. That way you're covered. And I actually like Cousins better than Jones this week. I mean, I think Jones, I like his matchup. I think he'll have a decent game, but I would definitely go Cousins over Jones.
Yeah, I agree. Even though I irk at the thought of Kirk Cousins because he is definitely one of the guys. And I'll tell you what, I don't know why, John, but I just can't stand Kirk Cousins.
See, and I'm a Kirk Cousins guy. I love me some Kirk Cousins to have as a quarterback fill-in. So all I need him is for is 1 week or 2 weeks. Like you just sit there, you're never hitting my lineup, but you always have the ability to actually put up points, just not maintain.
No, you're right. No, listen.
As an actual NFL quarterback, no, I hate Cousins. He chokes in the big game. No, I don't really. I don't like him. For me, as my secondary fantasy quarterback, I love me some Cousins.
All you have to do is watch that profile. I think it was ESPN 60 or 30 by 30, and it was showing him as he was a free agent. And he was talking, it showed the whole story of him and his agent about the offers. And they was getting, this dude, you know who loves Kirk Cousins? Kirk Cousins. Kirk loves him some Kirk Cousins, okay? This dude is one of the most egotistical, love myself dudes you'll ever meet. And he's a statue in a pocket, okay? He got way overpaid, in my opinion. And I can't stand him. But I get it. If he's going to win me some matchups, I'll throw him in. But I can't go on Kirk Cousins. I'm sorry. So let's John. Let's do this. As we talk about some values. Let's just go quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end. Give the folks some, just guys that we're looking at. Good, whether they're high value guys, low value, whatever it is. A couple guys that jump off the paper to us, or who we're going to go all in. I'll start with Joe Burrow. And, and I get it. A lot of people could be afraid of the matchup because the Jets, and they think, you know what? if the Jets are that bad that they may get out early, so he'll stop throwing the ball. Let me just temper your expectations a little bit with that. Remember, Cincinnati ain't that great either. Okay, so this isn't like Tampa Bay going in against the New York Jets. It's Cincinnati who are okay, right? They're just okay. They're okay. They're a decent team. Okay, but they're not like star-studded, right? But Joe Burrow, to me, is playing out of his mind. Okay, he's playing out of his mind. And I did not expect him, John, to be this good this early coming off that significant injury. So, he's locking in on Jamar Chase. He's locking in on my sleeper tight end of the week in CJ Uzomah, okay, who I absolutely love.
He killed me last week.
Weeks. I love it. I love him. So for me, at 7,100, and again, I always base my numbers based on the top guy. Top guy, Josh Allen, and what I mean is top guy as a number on DraftKings. Is the top money guy at 8,100 for $1,000 less. I'm going Joe Burrow. What about you got quarterbacks this week, John?
I was going value. I did actually have Joe Burrow in there. I didn't want to pay up for T. Higgins or for Chase because his price is so bloated. It's boom or bust. You know what I mean? And I'm not willing to pay up for him to basically, bust. So I was going T. Higgins, but then I loved Mixon and I'm like, I can't go with 3 Bengals in my starting in my thing. I just wasn't feeling it. So I actually have 2 of the cheaper plays. And one we talked about a little bit was Daniel Jones at 5,600. And the other guy that this is the guy that I have in my main daily, I'm in a weekly league that I do for, on DraftKings. And also my replacement for Dak, I went with Teddy Bridgewater. And I think even the last time, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about how steady he was. Then he wasn't so steady for a while there.
Steady Freddy.
But, I'm going with Bridgewater at 5,400. I don't know. It's almost like I have doubts because of, actually what you said in terms of Burrow and that matchup. I don't know I have no idea how that game's going to play out. You said Cincinnati's not this juggernaut, which, I agree they're not. But the Jets playing with a backup quarterback, I don't know what they're going to muster. So I don't know. That scares me. Same thing with Josh Allen in Miami. You know what I mean? That scares me a little bit. And then you got Stafford at Houston. You look at like these 3 of the top quarterbacks that have these matchups that, the point spreads on those games are outrageous. So that scares me away from those top quarterbacks a little bit.
And listen, all due respect to Cincinnati, they are in first place over John's Pittsburgh Steelers at 5-2. But here's what I will say. I'm not sold on Zach Taylor. Okay. You're asking me listen, it's still 7. They're 5-2. I get it, but everybody relax. Like, Adam, just relax. They're going to be an up and coming team. Defense is actually playing better than I thought. Okay. But I don't have any trust in Zach Taylor. Just my opinion. I look at the head coach, not a big fan. Now, Adam, this is fantasy suicide, what you're going to ask. Okay. Mahomes has been struggling. Should I keep starting him or start Baker Mayfield? Now, John's going to laugh, right? I know, because I'm a Baker guy, right? But here's what I would tell you. I don't care how bad Mahomes struggles, okay? At any given week, he will be back. He will figure it out. You're not a special talented quarterback and not be able to figure it out. This is what they do. We've watched this. Keep him in your lineup. Do not bench him for Baker Mayfield, okay? Because even with right now, Baker Mayfield, he's playing with like a torn pec. He's playing with, you name it, right? He's going to go out there. He's a gamer. That is a run-first offense. Run-first offense. So even with a healthy Baker Mayfield, he hasn't been a great fantasy quarterback anyway, right? Even when they're out there and he's 100% healthy. So you got to keep with Mahomes. John, any disagreement there?
I said you got to start Woods because he's just a better player on a good offense. All right. You know how I feel about Baker Mayfield.
I know.
Not that the Pittsburgh defense has been like ridiculous this year, But going up against that defense with a torn labrum in your non-throwing shoulder, even watching him at practice, that his other arm, he doesn't pick that elbow up above his shoulder. All right.
No.
It's going to take one TJ Watt hit to knock him out of the game. And no, in no circumstance do I take Patrick Mahomes out of my lineup. Like, I don't. My kid's in a 5-team league. 5-team. He has Kyler Murray and Patrick Mahomes. That's the only point at which you say, "Oh, okay, maybe I will bench Mahomes."
Yeah, you just can't do it. You just can't do it. Let's go to the running backs. And again, same thing. We talk about guys. We already talked about essentially two guys in Khalil Herbert and Elijah Mitchell that at 5,400 could essentially be your top two running backs this week. They could. Okay, I'm just saying they could. They're going to finish in the top 10 this week. You mark my words. Okay, and you're going to be like, wow, 5,400, this is a steal. But I want to ask you about a couple guys that peeped off my paper, John, when we're talking about running backs. Number one, I want to ask you about Leonard Fournette. And the reason why is because I've been actually pleasantly surprised at the usage of Leonard Fournette. Okay, and this is what you have to look at. After week 3, he's gotten those consistent attempts, 15 plus on average per week. Okay, 15 plus per average during the week. This is a team that's going to score a lot of points. And this week specifically against the New Orleans Saints, I predicted this is not going to be a Tom Brady 4 or 5 touchdown game. Okay, this is going to be a squeak it out kind of game. And I specifically feel this is going to be a Leonard Fournette kind of game where they give him the rock 20 plus times. He could essentially score double-digit touchdowns. Okay, and I think he'll be involved in the passing game as well because I think they're going to scheme against those outside receivers. They're going to make Brady dump it off a lot, and I think Fournette is going to be the beneficiary. So at 6,300, I think he's a strong RB1 play this week, in my opinion. John, running backs, Fournette, and anybody else. What you got?
Yeah, I like Fournette. I mentioned Cincinnati's offense. I think this is a good spot for Joe Mixon at 6,900. The other guy that I really like, and we talked about Elijah Mitchell at 5,400. Is it Darrell Henderson or Daryl Henderson?
I think there's a little bit of both, but I'm going to go with Darrell.
So I'm going to go with D. Henderson Jr., running back for the Rams at 6,500. Going up against that Houston team. Sony Michel, I thought he was going to eat in about a 30% timeshare, 30% ish. When they traded for him, that didn't happen. And he's playing well. That offense is rolling. So I really like Henderson this week.
I really like James Robinson.
Robinson is he's kind of my guy. He is my guy.
I like Robinson a lot this week. At 6,600 against the 31st worst run defense in the league against fantasy running backs, I got to take that all day.
For whatever reason, I feel like James Robinson, and this is going to sound weird, is matchup proof. All right. And I don't mean matchup proof like, oh, he's Dalvin Cook, he's the best in the league, matchup proof that wise. I feel like there's no team that I feel like he's going to play and not get at least 60 to 80 yards and a touchdown somehow. He's not going to get a touchdown every single week and score 17 on the year. But I just feel like he still gets the volume. He's going to get the volume. He's going to get, they're going to do their offense regardless of what the score is or what have you. So I'm a big fan of James Robinson.
Yeah, I do. I like him a lot this week. I really do.
I will. Go
ahead. What's up?
I was just going to say 2 value plays.
Yeah.
Look, us being in Philly, and all the talk about Kenneth Gainwell.
Yes.
I see Boston Scott
Yes.
laying down the hammer, getting that workload. I don't see Gainwell's value actually changing hardly at all. I see him doing the same type of work that he's done. Scott is going to take over the Sanders role. Not that was much, but I think Scott's just a no-nonsense guy. Look, Give him the ball and run it. Not stretch it out to the sides. No damage. One cut, go. You know what I mean? Just run that rock. So I think Boston Scott is sneaky, a sneaky play this week.
I listen. It's funny you mentioned that because I completely concur, and I'll tell you why. I for everybody listening, they know I do a show, the Alternative Edge, on the Sharp app every Friday, and Kenneth Gainwell was one of my guys. Now, the show I do on the Sharp app is strictly on prop betting. Okay, I take the DFS values and I correlate them to the prop betting scene. And Kenneth Gainwell was on my list. Okay, for a prop bet of over 31 and a half rushing yards. Okay, not a big number. I think he gets that by accident just because he's going to be in the fold without Miles Sanders. But in a DFS realm, I said $5,000 for Kenneth Gainwell is too rich for my blood. I will not pay that because we don't know what that's going to entail. Boston Scott, $600 less at 4,400 is more of that guy. I love me some Boston Scott this week, John. Just like you said, this is the kind of Boston Scott game that you know we're going to get, right? You already can see it. He's going to get probably only like 6 carries. He's probably going to get like 7 catches out of the backfield, a couple screen passes, and everybody's going to be talking about Boston Scott again. The train is starting, John. It really is. I'm glad you said that. Love me some Boston Scott this week. 100%. And again, great value. 4,400.
Yeah. Michael Carter's not bad at 4,900 either.
Oh, that's under 5,000. That's not for the Jets. That's not a bad number either.
I'm contemplating starting him in a league that I'm a little tight on running backs. I mean, as well with who replaced Zach Wilson, the quarterback.
Oh, Joe Flacco.
Oh, they signed him. I don't know if he's playing.
Oh, so is Mike White?
Yeah, Mike White.
But
Carter had like what did he have? 10 targets last week?
Well, yeah, he came
he
in.
He
had 9 targets, and 8 of them he turned on 8 catches.
Right. So, and you look at his yardage 3 weeks in a row, 38, 38, 37. Like, so what's this dude going to do? He's going to carry the ball for 12 times for 38 yards. Then it just comes down to what's he going to do in the passing game. And if the quarterback's looking for the dump offs, he is an electric player. I don't know that he can be a third down or 3 down back in the league for many years, but for this game, he is the offense. You got a Mike White at quarterback. They're not going to be able to do nothing. So your best pass catcher is your running back. Just
Mike White.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like he should be like a stunt double for Breaking Bad. Like that name just doesn't even fit. You know what I mean? Like, and again, you're spot on, man. Like these, and again, for everybody, these are the kind of values you have to look at. This is how you win DFS. You don't win DFS by buying Derrick Henry every week. It's not how you win. You have to take and tinker your lineup with guys that are low ownership talents that people are looking past. I guarantee you Michael Carter will be at 3 to 7% ownership come Sunday. Not a lot of people will be starting Michael Carter. But for 4,900, for exactly what you said, he's guaranteed to give you double-digit points. Just based on the fact that he's going to get probably 5 catches, okay, and he's going to get 40 yards rushing. Okay, right there, even if he doesn't score, he's probably going to get you about 13 points, and he's probably going to score this week. So, yeah, that's a really good find, John. I like that 100%. And another thing about those Jets, Corey Davis is out.
Yep.
Right. So one of their big play receivers is out too. So now the dump off is even going to be more prevalent. Right. So I think it's a really good play this week with Michael Carter, 100%. Let's look at some wide receivers before and then we'll end on the tight ends. I know they get they kind of get scolded a little bit here and there or forgotten about, slept on, but we'll get to them. Wide receiver, we already talked about I'm not paying up for Cooper Kupp. I've already talked about that. One guy I wanted to ask you about, John, is I really like Tim Patrick. You mentioned about Teddy Bridgewater, and I get it. Jerry Jeudy coming back and, Cortland Sutton getting his legs beyond, underneath of him and all that. But Tim Patrick, to me, is one of those guys who he's averaging 5+ targets a week. He's getting the targets. what he does with them, you never know. It's going to be inconsistent, but he's getting the volume. John, you're a volume guy, right? So 3 out of the last 5 weeks, he's been at least 13 points from a DraftKings value. Now, he's dropped the last 3 weeks, 5,100, 4,900, 4,700. The 4,700, he hasn't been since week 5 against Pittsburgh. Okay, it's been his lowest value since week 2 at 4,600 against Jacksonville, and that's when everybody was healthy. So, John, I think this is the kind of guy you pounce on. They're playing at home in the mile high air. Washington's defense has not been good. Very surprising that it's been very bad this year. All about, can they contain Chase Young? Can they contain Allen? I get all that, but I think there's going to be a lot of points scored for Denver in this game. And I like Tim Patrick at 4,700. Tim Patrick, anybody else? What do you got, buddy?
I mean, that's a good value with Patrick at 47. But that offense, I feel like there's no one person that is like fantasy relevant. You know what I mean? Like everybody's okay. Everybody will have an okay game. Even Cortland Sutton was doing nothing until like the end of one of the games. I got him in one of my leagues. It's like it's frustrating. He like somehow kind of comes up with it, but you never really feel that good about it. Fant's doing like just okay, and then Patrick pops in, catching a bunch of balls here and there. It's a very unpredictable offense. Gordon and Javonte Williams splitting. Like everything just seems to be so distributed. It's hard to tell, but you're not spending a lot of bank on them at 4,700. So I mean, it's definitely a good play.
No, you're not. And that's the thing. We're talking about, low volume kind of guys, and who you don't have to spend a big bankroll on, and who could absolutely help you. Sean checking in here says, pick one: Waddle, Elijah Mitchell, Darrell Williams, Carter, 18 full PPR. Jeez. I don't like Waddle this week. And I'll tell you why. 2 words: Tre'Davious White. I don't like Waddle. I think this is a young receiver who has been very good, but the Buffalo defense, when we're talking about corners, you got Mr. White out there is going to be locked on Jalen Waddle. And right, he is. He's going to find him. It's a young receiver. And I don't trust him over guys like Elijah Mitchell. Out of those 4, John, I'm going to go back to what we said in the beginning with the Khalil Herbert and Elijah Mitchell talk, that Elijah Mitchell is very consistent, run-first offense, 100%. Out of those 4, John, I'm going Mitchell. What do you got?
Yeah, it comes down for me, Mitchell and Williams. And I'm probably going Mitchell as well. I mean, Williams, he should get full workload, against the Giants team. The way the Chiefs have been playing, I expect it to be competitive, but there's nobody really threatening his workload. So, I mean, Williams isn't a bad play, but yeah, I would go Mitchell.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I like the Mitchell play. I really do. And here's a really good one, John. This is going to be an interesting question here. So Justin checking in says, we know if Dak is going to play, I can drop the Chargers defense for Minnesota. Now, again, I read the quote from Mike McCarthy specifically saying this is about not looking at Sunday. This is about looking ahead. They're going to err on the side of caution. So even though Dak's a gamer, and I think if he can play, he will, the odds are getting slimmer that he's been sore. So, I'm going to lean towards he's probably 25% likely to play, 75% to sit. If that's the case, John says, I could drop the Chargers defense for Minnesota. It's funny, you talk about Minnesota going up against Cooper Rush is the backup quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. So, John, what do you got here, buddy?
Is that who it would be?
That's what I'm looking at.
Why did I thought maybe it was someone joking around about the Ben DiNucci, but yeah, it looks like
Ben DiNucci. Yeah, I mean, I remember Ben DiNucci, but
yeah,
I mean, this is going to be an interesting call. I mean, the Chargers this week, I don't get locked in on the whole defensive scheme. I'll be honest with you. When we talk about defenses, I'm always like, who's the last one, who's the cheapest. I'll roll with them. Los Angeles are going against New York. I mean, New England. I actually like Mac Jones this week. I do. I think New England's going to give them a game. I'm not sold on the Chargers defense. So, I mean, it's up to you. Uh, Listen, it's just depending on, you got to wait till game time, right? I mean, you're going to have to wait to see what comes out today. But if he does sit, I 100% would start the Minnesota defense. I would, because you're going to get a lot of runs. Obviously, it's going to be the Zeke and it's going to be the Zeke show. That's what it's going to be if he sits. So yeah, I would go with Minnesota. Why not? What the hell? Start Schultz, Bills tight end, which is obviously Dawson Knox or Tyler Higbee.
Knox
That's an
is out.
interesting one.
Isn't Knox out?
Is not
Knox is, yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'll tell you
we
in a
didn't we,
second.
we didn't get to tight ends yet. So
Knox
Knox is out. So it would be Mr.
Yeah.
Sweeney, would say Mr.
Yes.
Tommy Sweeney. Okay. Tommy Todd Sweeney. Listen, man, I'm not trusting Tommy Sweeney. I'm sorry. He may score. I get it. You know what I mean? But I'm going Higbee here. That's what I'm going. I mean, Schultz, you answer your question earlier about the Dallas Cowboys. What if Dak doesn't play? So for me, John, I'm going to go Higbee. What do you think?
Yeah, who's Cooper Rush gonna throw to? There's gonna be some passing yards. Who's it gonna go to? Is it gonna be Schultz, willing to roll the dice? Higbee really hasn't been doing a whole heck of a lot recently. But that's spreading the ball all around. Yeah, Bill's tight end for me is out of the question. I would probably go Higbee because I think it's a safer floor. And I think Schultz and Higbee have just about the same upside, but I think Higbee has a safer floor.
Justin's also asking DJ Moore or Darrell Williams, PPR. That's intriguing. It is, because you're just waiting for those Chiefs to break out. You know what I mean? You don't know when it's going to be. The Giants, they're not very good. They lost one of their big leaders on defense, unfortunately, last week. So, I mean, I know you're going full point PPR, but I mean, he hasn't been. Listen, Darrell Williams or Darrell Williams. I keep saying Darrell because of the Henderson effect, but the most he's gotten is 3 catches throughout his 7 games this year. He's been consistent with like 3. So, I mean, I think I would go DJ Moore. I would. I think Sam Darnold comes back this week. I do. I think Sam Darnold comes back this week. I think DJ Moore is going to be back to what we've seen in the first 3 or 4 weeks as a number 1 wide receiver. So I may be going out on a limb here. A lot of people aren't trusting him, but again, Atlanta, not very good. Okay, they're not very good. But this is what I want to tell you. You're talking about full point PPR, and John is going to talk about volume all the time if you listen to this show. I'm going to talk about volume and consistency. This is the numbers for DJ Moore. Target share, 8, 11, 12, 12, 7, 13, and 10. Their targets, that's volume. I'm going to go with that any day of the week at full PPR. What do you got, John?
Yeah, this is a close one. Ideally, I'd like to get them both in my lineup, but yeah, I would probably lean DJ Moore. Even with as bad as Darnold's been playing, he's still been putting up respectable stats. So if he can do 5 catches for 70 some yards, like I think that's about what he's done the past couple weeks with Darnold playing like garbage. You know what I mean? If Darnold turns up his game a little bit, and who do they have this week? Why am I drawing a blank? I don't know.
Atlanta
Here. Oh yeah, in Atlanta. I mean, yeah. I'm going DJ Moore.
All right, so we're gonna close out. We got about 4 more questions here, and then we'll close this out so we don't go over our time here and get everybody bored. Nick wants to check and says, Kadarius Toney or Tyler Lockett full PPR. This is going to be an interesting one because I'm not on the Tyler Lockett train, like everybody knows, and Kadarius Toney is still. It looks like he's going to play, but ankle injuries are no joke. So I'm not sure. So this is kind of a toss up for me. Just based on health, I would probably lean Lockett. If it health wise he was 100%, I'd probably lean on Tony. But for me, I would go Tyler Lockett with this one. Full point PPR. We got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, same here. Too many questions in that Giants game.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. It's like now I'm like second guessing myself as I'm saying Tyler Lockett. Yeah, all those wide receivers, all their injuries just scare me.
I
I'm
know.
assuming Galladay's not gonna play. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
I think Shepard is gonna play.
Shepard's playing.
If
Yep,
Shepard
Shepard's
plays,
playing.
is he playing in the slot and pushing Tony outside?
And then you
Because
got Darius Slayton.
Tony blew up his games where he played well. He was in the slot when Shepard was out.
Right.
So all these different things, and then Slayton had to step up as basically the number one the other week because everybody else was out. You got Dante Pettis and John Ross catching balls. It's just a really weird wide receiver room. So yeah, I think I'm going with Lockett. I mean, he's clearly Seattle top 2 receivers. Even if Geno Smith hasn't been looking his way, I'm still going Lockett.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I mean, I just went to the Giants beat reporter that I follow, and he already says not looking good for Kadarius Toney, Kenny Galladay this week. So, and this is as of yesterday at noon. So again, we're going to really look at that and see what's going on. I would listen if they're going to get Shepard back, and they got Slayton and Pettis looks pretty good right now as a fill-in, and Evan Ingram. They're probably going to sit these guys. So it's going to be, depending on what else you have and where you got to go. Now, Derek checking in. What's up, Derek? As always, checking in. This is Mac Jones or Carson Wentz. Listen, if you listen to the beginning of this show, I am all in on the Carson Wentz train this week and going forward until he shows me different. 250, 2 touchdowns. I'll take it every day. 5,700 in DFS. And if you're starting, listen, I like Mac Jones. I actually think Mac Jones is going to be a really good play this week. I just think Wentz is going to be better. John, what do you think?
I may have to disagree with you. I don't know. I'm just my gut's telling me Mac Jones. I don't know why. My gut's telling me Mac Jones.
Listen, I like Mac Jones this week. I talked about it on the showdown with Jansen. I think this is a good sleepy week. A good sleepy. Like I'll talk about the 7 dwarfs. A good sleeper week for Mac Jones and the Patriots. I do. He's been getting more efficient as the weeks go on, and he's doing it with no true number 1 wide receiver. I mean, that's a huge deal. He's gone up in points over the last 6 weeks. So just from a DraftKings fantasy standpoint, dropped 26 last week. Okay, so I know it was against the Jets, but still, he looks good and he looks poised back there. So yeah, I like Jones, but for this week specifically against Tennessee, I'm all in on Wentz.
See, so we split and didn't help him whatsoever.
No, sorry, Derek. Sorry, man. Nick also checking in again says pick 2: Woods, Higgins, Judy, Tony, and Mitchell. Full PPR. I'm just not gonna talk much. I'm gonna go Woods, Mitchell. John, what you got?
Higgins, Mitchell.
Oh, John's going with the Cincinnati connection. I like it.
Judy's out.
Justin
I
said
think
this is for my flex business. I got Hill and Justin Jefferson at my wide receivers. Oh, he's talking about when he talked about DJ Moore, Williams, or he says he could start Gainwell. Now, I would still go DJ Moore, but it's close, like John said. And when is Barkley coming back? He's out for another week at least on the original IR stent that he's on, but I'm gonna guess that he's gonna be out for at least a few more. Those ankle sprains are no joke. They take a while. He's dealt with it before, so I
don't think it was a high ankle sprain.
It wasn't.
That's
which
the
is
only plus because those will
Yes.
nag the entire season, even when they
they're
come back.
terrible.
Yeah. I don't know.
They're terrible.
He's out this week. Then they got Vegas in a bye. So do they bring him back for that Vegas game?
No,
I don't know.
I'm going to say my odds are no. He's not going to come back till after the bye.
And then they play at Tampa Bay.
Oh,
So,
what a game to come back at.
So yeah, you might not have a good game out of Barkley till week 12 Philly.
Wow. So let's end this with some tight ends real fast. We're gonna go just a couple guys. Maybe we're looking at for DFS, because again, tight ends. I never pay up for tight ends. I'll be honest with you. But Kyle Pitts is coming in his own. He's beginning to be that guy that we all talked about, right? He's beginning to show why he's such a freak of nature. Right? And last 3 weeks, 27 targets, averaging 9 targets in 3 weeks, even with Calvin Ridley back. This kid's a stud. Matt Ryan is locking in on him. So for my money, and I don't move over Travis Kelce this week at 7,500. I think Kyle Pitts is easily a lock for the number 1 tight end on the slate. But when we talk about values, I'm going there again, man. CJ Uzomah. I love saying that name, CJ Uzomah. Okay, he's not going to get a ton of targets, not going to get a ton of catches, but they like throwing him in the red zone. He finds a big play or two every game, and against the Jets, he's not going to come off the field. If it's a blowout, he's still going to be on the field. He's still going to be catching the ball. Him and Samaje Perine will be running the ball, and Uzomah will be catching the ball. So I like Uzomah at 3,700 as a sleeper tight end this week. John, how about you?
I got one, and I'm all in on Pat Freiermuth this week for Pittsburgh. We talked. You already got Juju out. We got Claypool that is a little banged up, but man, Pat Freiermuth, I'm watching the Steeler games. His hands, I mean, he catches balls that are zipped in there so fast in such a tight window. It's like he got stickum on his hands. He had 7 targets last week. Ben's really starting to get comfortable with him, and I think he's getting sick of a lot of his receivers dropping balls. So Freiermuth is a la Heath Miller in Ben's heyday, and he's really starting to get a comfort level with him. So I think Freiermuth gets into the end zone this weekend in 3,600. If you got a touchdown at tight end, you're in good shape.
Freiermuth, look at that. He's giving you Ray J and Freiermuth, McLeod and Freiermuth. That is a true Pittsburgh guy right there. I love it 100%. I do. I absolutely love it. And I'm going to end with my man, no pun intended, give me more Cox again this week with Mo Alley Cox. Again, I've been in on Carson Wentz. I've been in on Mo Alley Cox. The guy, what he does, he just catches touchdowns. He catches touchdowns, 4 touchdowns in 3 weeks. Okay, this is what he does. 4 touchdowns. He catches big balls. So, again, big balls, Mo Cox, do whatever analytical justice you want with that simile. But I'm telling you right now, Mo Alley Cox, I really like. Again, man, we're going to get out of here. We've gone way over an hour. Tremendous questions. I love it. We always like interacting with the audience. Again, glad to be back. Took a little sabbatical, but I'm back for good right now. Everything looking well. Enjoy your Saturday. Happy Halloween. Don't get any mischief tonight. John, as always, thanks for joining me again. John's going to be here whenever he can, which I love. We got a nice chemistry going on. Follow Win Daily Sports, as always. Check the Discord chats. They're free. Okay, first month free, WDS. Get on the website, check them out, subscribe to the YouTube page. We are always easily accessible at Cutillo23, at PGHJohn36, at Win Daily Sports. Everybody have a fantastic Saturday. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll catch you next